Okay. So does anyone want to review what we did the last time before the Purim shir in Rephaeinu? We said that that all along people have been asking me why I've been teaching the 19 steps of the Shemoneh Esrei from the perspective of a single person, of the individual. If we daven in plural, why was I insisting on sticking to the individual? So I kept on saying that my answer was that the sefer that most influenced me in terms of changing my davening was the Baruch She'amar, and the Baruch She'amar doesn't begin to address the issue of the plural and davening until Rephaeinu. So out of respect for a person who transformed my davening for me, I wanted to wait till Rephaeinu. But in truth, it's what he teaches about Rephaeinu and the plural sense of Rephaeinu that really gives us a chance now to understand why we're davening in the plural. And because we can now understand it, now we can go back on the Shemoneh through the previous 7 or 8 steps of the Shemoneh Esrei in order to now take everything we've learned and turn it into a higher level. So just quickly, Rephaeinu, we said that the word refuah means not only healing, the word refuah also means to soften. And the word refuah means to rebuild. As in the Pasuk in Malachim, when Eliyahu rebuilds a Mizbeach, it says, Vayirapeh et HaMizbeach. So we said, for example, when even if someone recovers from a long illness, they still their lives need to be rebuilt. Their lives, the lives of their spouses, their children. Illness just spreads out and affects everyone. And it's destructive. And so rebuilding, the refuah of rebuilding is necessary. I once went to a surgeon and he said, look, I can't do this surgery, which is right before I went to Germany. He said, the only advice I can give you is that you take your family into family therapy because you've had, at that time I think it was only like 12 surgeries. You've had 12 surgeries. It's too much for your children to go through. You have to go through family therapy, otherwise they're all going to carry this the rest of their lives. It was the best advice he could give me, and which was good advice. So that's the refuah aspect of it. We said that we have to understand that whatever refuah is, the way that it is placed in the order of the Shemoneh Esrei, it is greater than geula. It's greater than redemption. So understand, if I'm sick one day and I wake up the next morning and I'm perfectly fine, that's not refuah, that's geula. That's redemption. I'm free. Refuah is beyond this. Geula is be'onyenu, the inside of our suffering, the inside of our struggles. Riva Rivenu, God is helping us fight the deepest internal things and be able to taste eternal redemption. And then refuah is even greater than that. So we said yes, because even after the geula from Galus, the redemption from Galus, we carry deep scars from being in Galus. The same way that a family carries deep scars after someone has been ill, even if the person recovers. One of my children didn't want to relate to me because he said, one day you were better, one day you were sick, one day you were better, one day you were sick. I don't want to be accustomed to you being well, because if you get sick again, I'm just going to be disappointed again. So he needed the refuah after the geula. He needed the rebuilding, which is part of what we daven for Rephaeinu. Then we said this is the first bracha in the Shemoneh Esrei that it is possible for an individual to say, this one doesn't apply to me personally. I'm not ill today, Baruch Hashem. So this is the first time when a person understands that this is for others and not for me. And we said, therefore, the Gemara says that if I reach a point at which I'm saying I am not sick, then I'm not davening. Because if there's someone else who's ill, the Gemara says, "Tzarech sheyichle atzmo alav." We have to make ourselves sick over the fact that someone else is sick. It has to hurt us. You know, I think I told you the story when my Uncle Noah was going for radiation treatment. So he was sitting next to this other Rosh Hashiva, and like he couldn't even sit in. He had bed sores all over. He was in gefährlich pain. He couldn't breathe. He wasn't sleeping anymore. And he sees that they're rolling out this Alter Yid from radiation. And my uncle jumps up. And he goes to the Yid and he starts talking to him. What happened? What are you doing? You know, I'm going to daven for you. I'm mamish going to daven for you and this. And he talks to him and he makes him laugh. You know, the old Uncle Noah technique. You make the guy happy, this and that. And he sits down. He's now in 100 times more pain than when he got up. And he turns to Rosh Hashiva. He says, "That's it. Now I'm not going to sleep tonight. How can I sleep tonight when I see this guy suffering like that?" So the Rosh Hashiva said to him, "I think you're an idiot. You're already sick. You're already suffering. You can barely move. And you jump up and you make yourself sicker because there's someone else." So my uncle turned to him and he said, "If you could see someone who's sick and you go, 'Ayveh,' and then you go, 'Wow, did you see the Super Bowl?' You're just a step away from being a murderer." Because if it hurts you, if it really hurts you when you see the other person in pain, how can you just turn away and forget about it? You can't do it. And it's very hard for us because, you know, we live in, New York, or in the New York area. You see people are suffering. You see the homeless. You see beggars. You see people. And it breaks your heart when you see them, hopefully. And then you want to go on with your life. But so there's a whole skill of tzedakah to learn the degrees of empathy. But definitely, while davening Rephaeinu, it has to be that as long as I know that there are people who are sick, I can't just say, "Baruch Hashem, I'm not sick, Rephaeinu, you should send a refuah to this one, to this one, to that one." There has to be a degree of empathy. Then we spoke about the level of davening. Do you remember? So that you access the refuah that already exists, right? I'm not going to go over everything. And then we said that we have to realize that there's a danger that when we daven only from our own personal perspective, there's the danger that we're going to limit the effectiveness of our tefillah in plural. Because if I daven the bracha of tshuva only for myself, thinking about the things about which I have to do tshuva, and it's a long list. So I'm only thinking about myself, but that may not incorporate the different levels of teshuvah that other people have to do. If I daven for the level of da'as that I need, let's say I'm stuck on a Gemara, and I can't sleep. So the next morning, I'm going to be daven desperately for the da'as to understand the Gemara. If I am only focused on my understanding of the Gemara, I'm certainly not taking into consideration the needs of the different levels of da'as, the degrees of awareness and wisdom and understanding, all that we spoke about, that's necessary for other people. I don't know if I told you this story. Can I tell you a story?
Please.
I used to sleep in my grandparents' house. Take care of them in the middle of the night. They needed something. So one night in the middle of the night, I hear my grandfather, angry, pacing up and down, up and down, up and down, angry. So I go out to him, and he looks like he's in a frenzy. So I said to him, in Yiddish, "What's wrong, Zadie? What's wrong?" So he looks at me and he says, "I have a kasha and a taisvis. I've been learning this taisvis for 70 years, and I never asked this kasha before. how do I never understood it before? So I said, yeah, it's a terrible thing, right? So, why doesn't Zadie go to sleep? And in the morning, Zadie will have the answer. So he looked at me as if I were insane. Go to sleep? I have a kasha and a taisus. Like he looked at me and then he just started pacing up and down. So I went back to sleep. About an hour later, I hear voices in the kitchen. I get up and I see that my grandfather is wearing his ruck and his big hat and a shirt and a tie and his Shabbos shoes. My grandmother is wearing a Shabbos dress, high heels, a sheitel, and they're drinking a l'chaim over orange juice. Very romantic. So I said, what's going on? So my grandfather said, I answered the kasha I had. So he answered the kasha he had on the taisas. So he was so excited. So when he went into the bedroom, my grandmother said, no. And he said, yeah. So what did she do? She didn't just say, I'm happy for you. She got up, she got dressed, she washed her negovasser, she got into a Shabbos dress, her sheitel and everything, and they sat down and had a little time over oranges because he figured out his answer to Kash and Tosis. See, imagine when he davened for Das, Atachonin Ladam Das, was probably a little different than the way most of us daven, right? I mean, he had a different appreciation of what the information that he needed. So therefore, now we have to understand that every single bracha of the requests that are in plural, when the only reason that I've been focusing on the personal is because the personal is the key to begin to relate to the power of the tefillah. That's it. But not, God forbid, to say that this is the definition of the tefillah. So therefore, it means that absolutely every level that we have spoken about, and we've done at least 3 levels of each bracha, correct? You have to take it and then reformulate it into the plural. So now, just an exercise. Do you ever see someone who is hurting themselves because they're not thinking clearly? Okay. Before I would daven for myself in Atachonim, I would daven for this other person to be granted the necessary clarity to stop hurting themselves. You ever see somebody who has good instincts but doesn't trust them enough to follow up and ends up getting hurt? I would daven for that person's needs when asking for bina. Yes?
What kind of specificity are you talking about here? I mean, if you would really take time to pause about a number of people unclear about things, you could be davening a good half hour on that bracha alone.
Half hour?
Yeah, just,
Well, that's someone like you because you only deal with the best people. Someone like me, it'd probably take 4 days. Yeah.
Well, I'm just trying to be practical.
No, the reason I'm not saying that every person for whom you're davening. But what you need to do is you need to expand your tefillah beyond yourself as your first step. So how do you expand your davening beyond yourself in your first step? By not focusing on you. Remember, if I say grant everyone the das they need, how much am I going to relate to that? Heal all the sick people in the world, how much am I going to relate to that? Help everyone do teshuvah. Does that really resonate inside of you? It sounds like a certain religion that says love everyone.
You have to be a
Kamoch. That means that there has to be an element that you're relating to it. But you can't love everybody the same. So therefore, what you need to do is practice. You have to train yourself how to daven with empathy beyond yourself. Once you can reach beyond yourself, then you can daven for the klal. You can daven for a group of people. You can daven for individuals. But to just say, give everyone the das they need, what is that? How does it resonate with you? And if your davening is not resonating on a personal level with you, it's not real. Now I want you to know something from Megillas Esther. Do you remember what happens? Esther goes into the party, and what does he say to Esther? Do you remember the phrase that he says to her? Ma she'ilasech, ma she'ilasech v'yinasin lach. What is it that you are asking for, and it will be given to you? Is that equivocal or unequivocal? Unequivocal. Uma bakashasech. And what is your bakasha? Ad chatzi hamalchus, up until half the kingdom, v'naten lach, and it will be given to you. But that is equivocal. So he's he's differentiating between she'elah and bakasha. Correct? She'elah is, what do you want right now? So if you were to ask me, what I want right now is that Hashem should make a nace as big as the splitting of the Red Sea, that my car should live a few more months. That's my she'elah. If you would say, what's your bakasha? No shaila, a Lamborghini. In other words, well, not really anymore because I can't sit that long. Okay, but for years it was the Lamborghini. In other words, there's the immediate need, but then there's the dream. So when Achashverosh says, what is your immediate she'elah? He says, v'inasin lach, it'll be given to you, right? But then when he says, ma bakashasech, but what is your vision for yourself? That already, ad chatzia malchus, until half the kingdom, and it will be done. Which is, right, it's reasonable, correct? Your she'elah, your immediate thing, whatever you need. Your big dream, your big fantasy, ad chatzia malchus, v'seyas, it will be done. How does Esther answer him? Do you remember what she said?
This was at the first part.
What does she say to him? She'elasi uvakashasi. My she'ela and my bakasha are one and the same. Why would I hesitate? I'm davening to the Rabbanu Shalom. I'm going to ask him for a nes nigla, right, to make my car live another few months. Once he's doing a nes nigla, let me get my Lamborghini. A Lamborghini SUV that I can fit into. In other words, I'm davening to the Rabbanu Shalom. Why should there be a difference between she'elasi and bakashasi? I'm davening to one who loves me, who cares, who has all the power in the world. Does it really matter if it's she'elah or bakasha? The only reason there's a difference for us between a she'elah and bakasha is because of whom? Is it because of the Rabbanu Shalom? No. What is it for? In whose mind is it? Ours. Esther says to Achashverosh, she'elah si'u vakashasi, they're one and the same. And Achashverosh doesn't believe her. Because at the second party, Vayomer HaMelech Achashverosh, Vayomer L'Esther HaMalkah, right, b'mishtei, on the second day, he says the same thing. He can't conceive that there's a person, that there's no separation at all between she'elah and bakasha. When we begin the brachos of atachonim la'adam da'as, for what are we asking? For what are we asking? Are we asking a she'elah or a bakasha?
Both.
If no, they're the same thing. What are you davening for? You want to daven for all Klal Yisrael. What do we mean when we say Chanenu me'itacha? You daven Ashkenaz. I don't know how you say it. Day of Navahaskia, right? Okay. What are you asking for? Come on, guys. What do you ask for?
Total knowledge.
Of what?
Of Torah.
Everything. Absolutely everything. Do you understand? A limited davening pasnished. A limited davening pasnished to the Rabbanu Shalom. It's not befitting. You have an opportunity to ask for the world. What are you going to ask for? Well, can you help me do well on this test? Can you help me diagnose all my patients correctly today? You're davening for all Klal Yisrael. What are you davening for?
Because the clarity.
That's one of them. The Haskell. What else are you davening for? I'm telling you, for me, if I had a world filled with people who were like Moshe Rabbeinu, I'd be happy. Do you understand that to ask the Ribono Shalom for anything less is my limitation, not the Ribono Shalom? And now you've got to understand a yesod from the Meiri that's mind-blowing. The Meiri says, I've seen people, this is in his parish in the Gemara and Brachos. I'm sorry, maybe I should stay away. The Meiri says, I see people who are hesitant to daven because they feel, who am I to ask the Ribono Shalom for this or for that? Who am I? It's ridiculous. The fact that you're davening in front of the Ribono Shalom to ask is an acknowledgement he has the power. And the fact that you're willing to stand before the Ribono Shalom and acknowledge that he has the power gives you the right to ask for everything. Everything. And the more you ask for, the greater the acknowledgement you're making of the power of the Ribono Shalom. So now, guys, what are we davening for when we say Ata Chone LaAdam Da'as? Everything. That we should all have Das. We should all have Chachma. We should all have Bina. We should all have Haskell. We should know how to handle all the issues before us. We should stop being, all of us, everyone here has little things that are confusing them. We should all go away. We should have absolute clarity in every pasuk we learn, every page of Gemara, every halacha we study, every tefillah we say. We should be able to understand the deepest secrets of it. That's what I want. I won't be happy if everyone here knows more than I do. For all Moshe Rabbeinu's, I'll accept.
But I hear what you're saying up here, and it makes sense to me to say, think about a specific person, how it can help them, can you make that personal? When you talk about getting it down here and being sincere in your davening, that the whole world should become full of Moshe Rabbeinu. And then doing it 3 times a day, and then looking at yourself and saying, do I really mean that? You see what I'm saying? It's like, is it better to be more sincere, to not ask for as much?
Why would you not be sincere?
It's a good question.
Because you didn't daven the first bracha of Shemoneh Esrei. In the first bracha of Shemoneh Esrei, you describe 3 human beings. And HaKadosh Baruch Hu says, I want to be known as Elokei Avraham. What does a human being have to do for God to say, I want to be known as Elokei Avraham? Do you realize that idea exists? Mm-hmm. So much so that David HaMelech asked Hashem, why don't we say Elokei David? He wants to feel that he did something so spectacular that the Ribono Shalom would say, I want to be known as Elokei David. By the end of the first bracha of Shemoneh Esrei, you're saying, what a God I have, that He created me with so much potential, that one day He's going to say, guys, from now on I want you to say Elokei Ilan Rosansky. Art Scroll will be furious because, they'll be happy to get to say many more Sidurim. Right? Do you understand that's what the first bracha is saying? The second bracha is the bracha of empowerment. The whole Bria is empowerment. You're celebrating the unbelievable power. Ilan, how can you daven for Geula? Believing, saying, I believe, Hashem, this is the bracha for Geula that will bring the Geula. How can you do it? Do you believe when you're saying Goel Yisrael that bracha, your bracha, is going to bring the Geula? How can you do it unless you were empowered? That was the second bracha of empowerment. Gevuros. How do I bridge this gap of experiencing my limitations? That's the third bracha of the filters, Atah Kadosh, 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 which we spoke about, and how you bridge the different worlds. I gave a shir on this last night. There's an unbelievable if you let me read this to you, it's so incredible. It's the 65th parak of Yeshayahu. It's like, bring tears to your eyes. I'll read it in English if you don't mind. Is that okay? Yeah. You're not an ophthalmologist, are you? This is the Ribono Shel Olam speaking. I was accessible to those who did not ask for me. I could be found by anyone, even by those who did not seek me. I said, here I am, to a nation not called by my name. I stretched out my hands all day to a straying people who walk the road that is not good, following after their own thoughts, who say, you ready for this? Keep to yourself, do not come near me, you are too holy for me.
Where was that exactly, Rabbi?
Chapter 65 in Yeshayahu. The Art Scroll translation is wrong on one word. Ki kidashticha, the Medrash says, means, you're holy, it's too much for me. It's very dangerous when we begin to speak about holy people. The Navi is saying, what do we often tend to do when there's a holy person? It's too holy for me. I could have responded to that story with my grandfather. Yeah, okay. He's one of the Gedolei Adar. That's really cool. Not for me. Or I could respond to him and say, I want to be like that. Then when I have a kasha, I won't go to sleep. The problem was, he had more answers than I did, see. And he still didn't get as much sleep as I did. Okay. Do you understand? Atah Kadosh, the three Kadosh is to make sure that you do not say you're too holy for me. And that's why the Seder begins with Kadosh. You have to set a challenge for yourself that Kadosh is that you can bridge the gap, not stay back. Okay. Are you with me on this? Do you understand the power now of davening in plural? Do you experience that there's confusion in Klal Yisrael? I mean, you don't even need to look on the web. But if you look on the web, there certainly is a lot of confusion in Klal Yisrael. Teshuvah. How do you daven? What would you daven for in Teshuvah? What would you daven? What are you davening? What are you asking for the Ribono Shel Olam?
Forgiveness.
No, that's slicha. We spoke about this. The bracha of Teshuvah is, there's a special gift. You know that whatever you do, your hishtadlus, there's a response in kind. The Shari Teshuvah says that there's a special gift for Teshuvah, that the minute there's a desire for Teshuvah, the Ribono Shel Olam will empower that desire to turn it into real hishtadlus. That's why the bracha about Teshuvah is expressed as desire. All the key to Teshuvah, you're davening that everyone should want to do Teshuvah, to completely restore and repair the relationship with the Ribono Shel Olam.
That's on a global level.
Everyone, including you. Not that everyone should be frum. Everyone should want to restore and repair the relationship with their Ribono Shel Olam. That automatically means that we're not thinking about, I'm bad, because that's about you. Teshuvah is about the Ribono Shel Olam, which is a big difference. That's why the Rambam begins Hilchos Teshuvah by saying, Kol mitzvah shebetorah ben aseh ben shalos aseh. He just discusses the Ribono Shel Olam. He doesn't discuss you, what you need to fix. he discusses what damage you cause to Hashem's world. Teshuvah is, I need to repair the damage I caused to your world. Slicha.
What was Rav Noach's Tikkun Chatzot? His 60-minute Tikkun Chatzot?
60-second. Rav Noach said that once a day you should sit down for 60 seconds and just experience the Ribono Shalom's pain. Like there's so many Jews who are distant from him. And that qualifies as Tikkun Chatzos. Okay. Slicha. So we said, who's the what's the first level of slicha you need?
Forgive yourself.
Yeah. Remember, we spent a lot of time with slicha. Okay, the first thing is you have to be able to forgive yourself. Is it difficult to walk around and see people who need to forgive themselves?
No, it's
No.
very easy.
Very easy. Okay.
Look at the
So
mirror.
all you need to do is be aware of it during the day when you look at people and see people who are clopping themselves off a cup on their head all day long and holding themselves back because they feel guilty, because they're punishing themselves, because they feel they made a mistake, because they just be aware of it during the day. When you get to the Bracha of Slicha, it'll be fantastic. Geula, what are you davening for? What do you want? What do you want? Think carefully. What are you asking for in Geula? It's not Mashiach. Mashiach is later. It's not for tzaddikim. Tzaddikim are later. It's not for leaders. Leaders are later. Hashiva Shavteinu. It's not to gather everyone together from the four corners of the earth, because that's the 10th bracha. Right? Tekah b'shofar gadol. What are you davening for? For what are you davening in Geula? Yeah.
To release us from all our inner struggles.
To release us from
all our inner struggles.
all our inner struggles. That's right. That's what we've spoken about. Now, refuah. Refuah is not just that everyone should be able to access the cure that already exists for them. Refuah is not only that everyone should be able to rebuild their lives as they recover from an illness and the members of their family recover from the illness. Refuah is to be able to look into the future with the hope. With hope. Remember we said, what's a baby's first experience of God in a mitzvah? Refuah, bris milah. It says first experience of the Rephaeinu Shalom is as a rofe. That's Rephaeinu Shemoneh Esrei as the 8th bracha. That refuah is forward looking. That's why it follows Geula. I don't know how much longer I can talk. I hope you'll forgive. Yeah, I'm sorry.
You like candy?
I have. Thank you.
More vitamin water?
Yeah, please. Yeah. So, can we do a little more? Or?
Can you do a little?
Yeah, as much as you can.
Yeah.
We're davening for you for a full You should be rebuilt.
This is all an opportunity for us to daven and empathize with Rebbe's refuah, so we should have our own.
I had a Nace Nigla yesterday. I gave a shir right after an IV. I'm usually out for 3 days.
Wow, you would never have known.
That's right. Well, for sure. Okay.
We didn't know.
And you call yourself a doctor.
I'm still working on it. That's why I'm here.
Okay. What's more important to you? That a rofe is a rachaman, compassionate, or a ne'eman, reliable?
Rachman.
Rachaman.
From what you said.
Rachaman. Okay. I'm sorry to tell you this, guys.
Wow.
I mean, I don't, you daven Ashkenaz, or what I'm going to say.
It says Rephaeinu Ne'eman.
Kiel melech rofei ne'eman v'rachaman ata. You guys, for God knows what reason, speak of HaKadosh Baruch Hu as a ne'eman, a rofei ne'eman, before a rachaman. The Ari switched it. The Ari puts rachaman before ne'eman. It's interesting. What's the difference between a ne'eman and a rachaman in a doctor?
In a doctor, you said?
Yeah. Are you all sure that you would choose rachaman before ne'eman?
Not if
The
you had surgery.
Ne'eman might be cold. The Racha might be compassionate, but he might not show up.
He has to have the skill to know what he's
He
doing
might think
also.
about you with compassion, but that's not going to help.
And Naaman also has to have faith.
Oh, well, okay. So you're more of a rachaman or a ne'eman?
Naaman.
And you?
Never.
You need both. You can't have one
You?
without the other. I don't want to have a surgeon who doesn't need one.
Reliable.
If I have talk about a doctor, well, it's Hashem who's going to be doing.
Rabbi Sheila, see you back on.
Someone speaking, yes.
It's Hashem that has to be reliable, and the doctor can be compassionate, but in the end, it's not the doctor who's healing me.
Right, so we're speaking about Hashem. So in Hashem, for what do you look first? Ne'eman or rachaman? What are you thinking about when you're asking Hashem for refuah?
I want that.
When you're asking Hashem, you want Hashem as Ne'eman or Hashem as Rachaman? Whatever issues you raise with Ne'eman will not apply to the Rabbanu Shalom.
Nema.
Why?
Because if you're asking for, let's say, refuah, Hashem might be as kind as anything, but not give you refuah, like not be reliable in answering your prayer for reliable, even though he might.
This
be
is a
kind.
Rephaeinu Ne'eman. He is a reliable healer.
Oh, I'm thinking Rachaman, sorry.
So you would first ask, which would you think? I mean, everyone in this room has davened for someone who is ill, correct? What were you addressing Hashem as the Ne'eman or the Rachaman?
The Racha.
And yet, most of you daven Ashkenaz, right? Why do you put Ne'eman before Rachaman? For me, I would agree Rachaman because I say Rachaman, so of course it's right. But there's, just because the Ari has a different nusach doesn't mean that your nusach is wrong. It means it's a different approach. Like that you say, Chanenu meitecha deya bina v'haskel, which is you're going up. Whereas in the Siddur Ari, you say Chachma Bina Das. You're going down. So it's two very different approaches to davening. So you have to understand that I'm not, God forbid, I may make fun of it. That's just my immaturity. But if the nusach is that puts Ne'eman before Rachaman, people sat down and they thought about it, and they felt that Ne'eman was more important than Rachaman. So of course you can always switch to Nusach Ari and then you'll be okay. Because of?
In Shema we say, Kel Melech Ne'eman.
Kel Melech Ne'eman.
Excuse me, wait. You always said that we're going, you said that as it goes this direction, it's higher. So if we say Ne'eman first, then Rachaman is higher.
That's right. That's because that's the whole Ashkenaz approach. And if you understand this, you must know this in order to understand how your siddur works. There's literally a totally different mechanism for the design of the nusach in Nusach Ari than there is, and it's unbelievable. Ashkenaz always goes on a lower and builds on it. So now Moshe pointed out very beautifully, you say Kel Melech Ne'eman. So what does Kel Melech Ne'eman mean? Why do you say Kel Melech Ne'eman before Shema? Because in Shema you're going to be will be asking us to love Hashem. You can't love completely unless you know the one you love is reliable. So therefore you begin with the reliability. I have to feel comfortable davening to you. I have to feel that you are a reliable Rofe for now, for the healing, for the softening of the pain, and for accessing the refuah that already exists. Because if you're not a Ne'eman, I can't begin to say, Rephaeinu Hashem v'nei Rafei, heal us and give us the ability to access the refuah. If I don't believe he's a Ne'eman, then I don't believe that the refuah already exists. And then there's no point to my davening. Then you have to ask that it be done in a rachamim way. Because believe me, there's some ways you can get healed that are not very pleasant.
But we already
Yes.
have a bracha that focuses on Neiman, the second bracha. B'neiman atah lachiyot mitim.
No, that is totally shevach.
So why?
This is not shevach. This is creating the context of my request. This is when I remind myself why I am davening to you. It's an unbelievable thing. I have to be able to say, this is why I'm davening to you. Again, because when you say to the Ribono Shel Olam, this is why I'm davening to you, that gives you the right to make the request. That's what the Meiri says. Bilam and Balak brought karbanos, correct? They brought the karbanos in order to cause damage to Klal Yisrael. And yet, how is Balak rewarded for bringing all the karbanos? Balak is rewarded. He's the grandfather of Rus HaMoaviyah. And Rus HaMoaviyah was born as a merit for Balak bringing karbanos. What are you, crazy? He brings karbanos in order to destroy Klal Yisrael. And he still gets the merit to have a granddaughter named Rus, the grandmother of Malchus. It's incredible. But what's the reason? The Meiri says, because the fact that he brought a korban meant that he acknowledged God was in control. All you need to do is acknowledge that God is in control, and you earn merit just from that. That's the key kale that you say at the end of every bracha. Who am I to ask for the geula? Because my standing here and saying, Ki el goel chazak ata, you are the power that is a redeemer, gives me the right to ask. Because I believe Ki kel melech, what do you say? Ne'eman v'rachaman ata, gives me the right that I ask that you heal absolutely everyone by giving them the ability to access the refuah that already exists. That you create a world that has a spirit of healing so that we know we can go into the future and when we face a problem, there is a refuah already there for every problem. That's what we're saying, Ki kel melech. That's what Ashkenaz is saying. That's the key kale of every bracha.